Hey guys, John V from PhoneArena here. You're watching our video review of the HTC Butterfly 2. Now don't be shocked if you don't know anything about the Butterfly 2. It's basically a slightly modified version of the M8. So essentially, they've taken away the aluminum body and replaced it with a plastic one that also has a water-resistant element to it. And instead of a 4 megapixel camera, they've outfitted it with a beefier 13 megapixel one. With all these changes now, is it going to make it a better offering than the M8? The design is nearly identical to the M8, with the obvious exception that it's a plastic body it's favoring this time. So on one hand, it loses the premium aspect, but on another, it gains a water-resistant element to it, which is great and something we find on most of today's flagship devices. Seeing that the Butterfly 2 is very close to the M8, it features some of the handset's signature qualities. So they include things like the dual front-firing speakers with HTC boom sound. You have an IR blaster on the top edge, which allows it to double as universal remote. And in the back, they've outfitted the camera with the same dual camera system from before, but instead of a 4 megapixel ultra pixel camera, it's now packing on a beefier 13 megapixel one. The display is the same from before. It's a 5-inch 1080p Super LCD 3 display. So what you get here is a very crisp looking panel. Details are rich and superb, and of course the color production is pretty good too. We don't see a whole lot of difference between this and the M8. Strong brightness output of over 500 nits, so it's very visible outside under outdoor conditions. And overall, the qualities of the display remain intact from before. We're not going to go to too much detail about the experience, just because if you play with an M8, you're going to fit in right away. It's actually the same Sense 6.0 experience from before, so there are no optimizations here with the Butterfly 2. So if you're familiar with the M8, you're going to fit in right in here. So let's first talk about the visuals. Same modern design from before, very clean looking, and we can see that too in things like the weather widget, the clock widget right here on the home screen. The other nice thing about the experience is that it's a very simple and intuitive one. They don't try to overwhelm us with a bunch of redundant software features like some other things we find on other customized experiences. You have useful ones like HTC Blink Feed on the left side here, which aggregates our social networking content. At the same time, it also employs the various motion launch gestures from before. So basically, if you're going to want to interact with the phone and you don't want to press the power button, you could use the various motion launch gestures to do a variety of different things. There's a slight change to the hardware in the Butterfly 2. It's still the same quad-core Qualcomm Snapdragon 801 chipset with 2 GB of RAM, but they've upped the clock speed from 2.3 GHz to a slightly faster 2.5 GHz. Of course, it's pretty effective in a variety of different things, from basic tasks to gaming. It runs pretty smoothly. Combining its spacious high-resolution display with its LTE connection, it's fantastic for surfing the web just because it loads up pages very swiftly, and on top of that, you have very smooth navigational controls. We have two options for music playback, either the Google Play Music application or the Sense one. Either one suffices, honestly. Now, as far as the audio quality, it's just a smidgen less with its volume output in comparison to the M8's dual front-firing speakers with HTC boom sound, but still, it's very powerful and potent. Likewise, it's pretty stellar for other multimedia consumption, like watching videos. With a large display and also high resolution, it just makes these videos come to life, and it has a wide array of support out of the box. Just as we said before, gone is the 4 megapixel ultra pixel camera of the M8. Instead, it's been replaced by a beefier 13 megapixel one, so we're really curious to know exactly how much better in quality it is over the M8. Well, the most notable difference here with the Butterfly 2 over the M8 is that it does capture a lot more fine detail. So that's a really good thing, because before, that's probably what was holding back the M8 from being a very well-rounded camera device. But with this here, we have flexibility in actually cropping photos afterwards without any major impact to detail, and still a pretty good, well-rounded performer. The biggest thing here is that it tends to have some issues with lower lighting conditions. You do see a softer tone with its shots, and on top of that, it just has a tougher time getting a natural exposure. Its 1080p video recording quality is good, but nothing really outstanding compared to the other crop of flagship devices. It gets the job done. You're gonna get some pretty good looking videos that you could use. The continuous autofocus feature works well. A little bit shaky, of course, that's because there's no image stabilization built into it. And the other thing we were hoping is that maybe if they were going to make it a really nice camera, they would have added 4K video recording, but fortunately, that's not the case here. Call quality is unimpressive this time around. Well, at least the earpiece works well because voices through it have a lot of good robust tones, and it's pretty powerful to use even in noisy conditions. But it's on the other end line that we have some problems. Our callers mentioned that our voice has this very subdued tone to it. On top of that, when we switch over to using the speakerphone, it doesn't have much of a strong brilliance, so it gives our voice a reserved tone. And finally, they bumped up the battery to a 2700 milliamp hour one, whereas before it was only a 2600 milliamp hour one in the M8. Now, even though it has an increase in its battery capacity, it doesn't really translate over to real-world usage. In fact, we hardly notice a difference. It still delivers the same 1 day of normal operation. Now don't go running out yet. Try to look for the HTC Butterfly 2 because it's not a device that's going to be sold here in the US. Though you could pick it up as an unlocked model through a variety of different online retailers. You're going to pay roughly $650 for it, but it's available overseas. So the HTC Butterfly 2 is a nice package, but we wouldn't necessarily be gung-ho about picking it up right now, just because when you think about it, maybe down the road we'll see an M8 with a water-resistant quality to it and also a better camera. But those are things hopefully in the pipeline. But if you really want those qualities in an HTC phone right now, the HTC Butterfly 2 is going to be the device for you. So if you guys want to learn more about the HTC Butterfly 2, you can check out our website, PhoneArena.com. It's John V. Thanks for watching.